personally, I don't think it's going to pass. I think from here it's going to take to the next level. And the next level, and the next level, and Hashem is already going to tie it around our neck till we're going to be screaming for Hashem to send Mashiach. So that's my own opinion. And again, you don't have to listen to me. If you're smart, you listen at least to some of my words. But again, to kind of recap my personal opinion, I do not think it's going to pass. And if it will pass, there's two ways how it's going to pass. Either miraculously we're going to do unbelievable tshuva, which is what we're aiming to, or somehow we're going to be fools and it will pass and life will go back to usual, and then Hashem is going to get even more upset and bring us another slap, and that time is going to be 10 times, if not 100 times worse. Now let's go a little bit forward. I see the time is running too fast. Now it's time to read between the lines. I don't know how much in amounts, but I believe that at least, and maybe you can enlighten me, but I think at least 1 billion people are in quarantine. Right? Let's throw some numbers, right? Just Italy, 65 million people. Germany, Spain, London, New York, Los Angeles, Israel. I'm just throwing a wild number. Let's say 1 billion people is in quarantine right now, right? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's 500 million. Maybe it's 2 billion. I don't know. It's irrelevant. But definitely hundreds of millions. How long did they tell us that we have to be in quarantine? 2 weeks, 14 days. Why? Why not 16 days? Why not 21 days? Oh, because it takes 14 days to show symptoms and schmimpsons and tinsons and... Okay, let's say fine. I'm not going to argue now with the medical part of it. But I'm just trying to make a point. We are told to be in quarantine for 14 days. Let's go to the Torah. Everything is in the Torah. In the book of Vayikra, chapter 13, verse 4. Start paying attention real good to every word that I say. I'm going to read to you the verse. Vehim baheret levana hi baor. Vehisgir hakohen shiv'a yamim. The Kohen, and I highly recommend that you later on go, open book of Vayikra, chapter 13, and read the entire chapter. Read the chapter before to understand what I'm talking about. But it's talking about when a person has leprosy, and the person has what's called lesion. That's how you say lesion? A nega? He comes to the Kohen. The Kohen looks at the lesion, right? And he decides if the person is infected or not infected. The verse 4 says, Vehisgir hakohen shiv'a yamim. The Kohen shall quarantine the person with the lesion for 7 days. Now let's go to the next verse. Verse 5. Lo pasha hanega. The lesion has remained the same. Vehisgiro shivat yamim shenit. And he will put him in quarantine, so the Kohen shall quarantine him for 7 days as the second time. 14 days. What do you know? So the Kohen, 3,400 years ago, when somebody came with a lesion from Tzarat, he quarantined him for 14 days. 7 days, and then another 7 days. Isn't that odd? Now, I'm going to tell you something more interesting. I think it's not odd. I think it's on the money. But I'll tell you something even more. What does it say in the verse? Go to the verse. Every word that I'm saying. Go to the sources and read it. It says there, I'm going to read the verse in Hebrew. Besaro, in his flesh. Ve'amok, and it's deep. En mar'eh min ha'or. It's showing on the skin. This is the verse that I'm reading right now. When you want to calculate gimatriot and signs, numerical values and hints, there's many ways of doing it. There's something that is called sofei otiyot, that you take a verse and you take the last letter of every word in the verse. So in this part of the verse, besaro ve'amok en mar'eh min ha'or, take the last letters of every word. You know which word comes up? Corona. So I will repeat it again. Besaro ve'amok en mar'eh min ha'or. Vav kuf nun hey nun reish corona. Isn't it interesting that 3,400 years ago, when somebody spoke Lashon Hara. He got leprosy, tzarat, went to the Kohen. The Kohen looked at it and put it in quarantine for 14 days. What do you know? And when you're looking in the hint, our Torah has everything in it. The Torah is the DNA of the universe. And the verse that it's talking about it, the end, the last letter of every word brings up to the word corona. Maybe somebody in the desert was Chinese 3,400 years ago, don't you think? Now, if this is the case, I'm just again telling you to read between the lines. Why does tzarat, leprosy, come? Lashon Hara. That's it. Person speaks Lashon Hara, leprosy comes. Have you ever seen in the last 40 years somebody with leprosy? No. Have you ever heard or seen somebody in the last 40 years talking Lashon Hara? In the last 40 seconds, I can tell you that people are talking Lashon Hara. And don't ask why am I sitting 40 years, I'm just throwing a number. Now, when people now talk Lashon Hara, do they get leprosy? No. Well, the Zohar says that they get the leprosy inside, on their neshama. So suddenly they feel anxious, they feel anxiety, fear, depression, sadness, suicidal, crazy. Yeah, there's a tzarat, there's leprosy on the soul. So why does leprosy come to the world? Tzarat, because of Lashon Hara. Next. We are dealing here with a virus. A little virus that is driving the entire planet nuts. The virus is called corona. In Hebrew we say virus corona. Right? You know what's the numerical value of virus corona? 649. Virus corona. Right? Virus corona. The numerical value is 649. Now we're talking here about the person who speaks Lashon Hara, who has leprosy, who goes to the Kohen, and what does it say in verse 5? Bayom hashvi'i vehine hanega. In the seventh day, and here's the lesion. You know what's the numerical value of Bayom hashvi'i vehine hanega? 649. Virus corona. Isn't that interesting? Our Torah is amazing. Now I'm going to give you as a side note, I'll explain to it a little bit later. But, and I spoke about it so many times, especially for the ones who are present in this room, about the severity and the danger of Lashon Hara. But when a person says Lashon Hara, he damages 4 things and then 5 things. I'll explain later. I don't think we're going to have time now. Just keep it in the back of your mind. When a person speaks Lashon Hara, he damages the heart, the lungs, the veshet, which is called you're going to have to help me. Esophagus, and the kaneh, the windpipe. These are the 4 things that a person damages when they speak Lashon Hara. And after that, the 5 oral articulations. Chametz motzaot hapeh. A, I, U, A, what we talk in our mouth. That's what our sages explain. Interestingly, it says that when a person speaks Lashon Hara, there's 4 types of lesions. This is called mar'e negaim. There are 4 types of them. Teachings of Kabbalah explain this is corresponding to 4 letters of Yud K and then Vav K, the letters of the Hashem's name. Needless to say that when a person speaks Lashon Hara, he's damaging the name of Hashem. Some people think that when they speak Lashon Hara about a certain person, they have to go and apologize to the person. You have to go to apologize to the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Nevertheless, I will explain later on what I'm talking here about right now more in depth, the damage that is done and what one needs to do to fix it. But let's continue. Now I really want you to listen between the lines, because now I have proven the words of our sages. I made a point coming from our Torah that tzarat, that a nega, a lesion, a plague comes from Lashon Hara. Now let's see what the Talmud says about it. And I will send you to tractate Archin, page 16a, Tet Zayin Aleph. And I will quote, the tractate is called Erchin, Erchin, some people pronounce it different. Page 16a, Tet Zayin Aleph. Rabbi Yochanan says there's something very powerful. And he says as follows, Rabbi Yochanan, Al pi shiv'a dvarim ba'im negaim la'olam. Because of 7 actions, legions or plague will come to the world. Now this is a very powerful statement. Pay attention. I'm saying now as a side note that the Yetzer Hara, I explained that once in a class, but if we need to, I'll make another class about it. I explained that the Yetzer Hara has 7 names. And I explained that in depth. The first name is called Ra, Yetzer Hara. The next one is called Arel. Ra means evil. Arel is somebody who's not circumcised or not clean. The third name is Tameh, impure. The fourth name is Soneh, hate. The fifth name is Michshol. Michshol would be, well, how would you translate Michshol? It will be, I will come to it in a second. Michshol is when you're making somebody fail. How would you say Michshol? No, when a Michshol, you know, is when if I'm running now, and then there's a Michshol on the way, I have to jump over it. Like a stumbling block. So Michshol, if I want to now make somebody fail, then I put a Michshol. I make him fail. Anyway, that's the fifth name, Michshol. The sixth name is called Even, a rock. And the last name is called Tzfoni. Tzfoni means the northern one, but Tzfoni also comes from the word Matzpun, conscious. I gave once a class explaining in depth these 7 names. If I need to, maybe I'll explain it again, but not now. And there's a reason why am I saying now the Yetzer Hara has 7 names. Okay? Because I said a second ago that Rabbi Yochanan says that there's 7 actions that will bring a plague to the world. Now, very interestingly, we know that the Yetzer Hara is the Nachash, is the serpent that came into Gan Eden and made the first problem. So a serpent in Hebrew is Nachash. Last lecture, I explained that the numerical value of Nachash is 358. The numerical value of Mashiach is 358. The numerical value of Corona, 358. Now, interestingly here, that if you're taking the numerical value of the word Nachash, a snake or a serpent, is 358. But there's a way to calculate what's called Gimatria Ktana, a small Gimatria. So we take the 3, the 5, and the 8, because the numerical value of Nachash, Nun is 50, Shin is 300, and Chet is 8. 358. But separate it. Now we're going to take 3 plus 5 plus 8, then we get 16. Gimatria Ktana is that we add that. 1 plus 6, what do we get? We get 7. Again, we get this 7 coming from the word Nachash. Interestingly, it says in the Talmud, this can be found in tractate Bechorot, page 8, that it says that it takes a serpent, a snake, 7 years to be pregnant. I'm not a zoologist, I can't tell you if this is correct, but nevertheless, this is what the Talmud says about the pregnancy time of Nachash. Maybe it's not talking about an actual serpent, maybe it's talking about something else. But why am I saying all this? Because we come again to the 7 actions that bring us plague, 7 names to the Yetzer Hara, the Gimatria Ktana of Nachash is 7, and so forth, and now I'll explain a little bit more. One of these 7 actions that will bring a plague to the world, and pay attention. The first one, of course, you've guessed right, Lashon Hara. Lashon Hara, it's when a person talks bad, it's about another person. Now again, we're not going to get now to every explanation about Lashon Hara. We had a course in the summer, if you remember, we didn't even finish it, but I explained the difference between Lashon Hara and slandering. But nevertheless, what do our sages say about Lashon Hara? Hefrid ben chaverim. He separated between 2 people. Because if I come to you and I tell you, you know what so-and-so did? You know what he said? Then now I separated the both of you. Or if I come to you and I say, you know, so-and-so, he does this and that, it doesn't matter right now if it's true or not. Then now I separated you from him, because now you don't want to associate with him. What is the punishment for a person who speaks Lashon Hara? Badad yeshev michutz lamachaneh. By himself, he will sit outside of the camp. Do you feel outside of the camp now, sitting in your home? Badad, by yourself, lonely. Now I explained before that every word that we say you use a few parts, organs in your body. In order for you to talk, then you need to use, of course, the air pipe and the veshet and your lungs, right? You have to use a few organs. But all the talk, our sages explains, that comes out of my heart when I talk. If I'm in love with my wife and I tell her how pretty she is, it comes out from my heart. I love you. If I hate somebody and I go and slander their name, then it comes from my hate, from my anger. I'm coming and talking bad. So the dibur, the talking, comes out from my heart. Through the heart, to the lungs, to the air pipe, and then to the five articulations of our mouth. What is interestingly here, that I always like to very clearly and carefully focus on the words that our sages are saying. It says, Badad yishev michutz hamachaneh. Badad means by himself. He will sit outside of the camp. The acronym of Badad, Bet, Dalet, Dalet, brings a very special combinations of words. Brechol drachecha da'eho. This is a verse from the book of Mishlei, Proverbs, chapter 3, verse 6. Know him in all your ways. Brechol drachecha da'eho. Everything that you do, you have to know that the Kadosh Baruch Hu is a part of it, is affected. Bechol drachecha da'eho, the acronym of Badad, just interestingly. So the first thing that brings the plague to the world, Lashon Hara. Check. Next, number 2. This is what Rabbi Yochanan says, not me. Shfichut damim. Shfichut damim is bloodshed. Now, not necessarily when you stick a knife to somebody, chas v'shalom. Bloodshed is when I insult somebody in front of other people. This is bloodshed. So this is 100% connected to Lashon Hara. Because if I now go and slander somebody and I spill his blood in front of thousands of people because I made up some lie about him, this is bloodshed. Next, the third is called Shvuat Shav. This is one of the 10 commandments. You're not allowed to take an oath, a false oath. But in other words, this is called, in our simple term, lying. And again, Lashon Hara is when what I talk is truth. Hotzaat Diba, slander, is when I lie. Now most people, when they talk Lashon Hara, there's a lot of lying in there. So again, number 3, Shvuat Shav, lying. Number 4. Number 4 is called Gilui Arayot. Gilui Arayot is incest. That's how you say it? Am I pronouncing it right? Incest? Now, this I don't need to explain. What's going on in this generation with Gilui Arayot, with incest and forbidden relations and Hashem Yerachem. I'm going to get to that. I don't know again if I'm going to have time right now, and I think we're already running very, very long. But nevertheless, you know, the book of Yetzirah, Sefer Yetzirah, the book of formation, says something very interesting there. There are three britot, 3 covenants that we have with Hashem. And according to the covenants that I have with Hashem, I'm requested to follow my part of the covenant, but Hashem is requested to follow his part of the covenant. And his part is to save us. And right now we're breaking all the covenants, so why would he fulfill his part? So Sefer Yetzirah, the book of formation, explains that the Brit HaLashon, the covenant that we have with Hashem to guard our mouth, is directly connected to the Brit HaMaor, the Brit Milah, the circumcision that men do, meaning guarding the Brit. Guarding the Brit means not that you do a circumcision to the baby 8 days after he's born, is that a man can only procreate with his wife, not with anything else, not by himself, and not with other genders or animals or whatever it is, the andarlamusia, the chaos that we have in our generation. So no need to explain that Gilui Arayot, that it brings a magefa, a plague to the world. The 5th one is very interesting. That's something that I like a lot. In Hebrew it's called Gasut Ruach. That's the problem of most people. Gasut Ruach, the 2 words that I found that are close as possible in translation, one of them is rudeness, and the other one is vulgarity. Most people have Gasut Ruach. Who do you think you are? Why should I listen to you? In the Jewish nation, we call it Geava. Gaiva, what the Bnei Ashkenaz will say. And that's the problem of many, many people. They're Geava. the worst of all the midot. In all the times that we were learning about Tikkun HaMidot, I explained numerous times that the highest of all, the worst of all the midot, of the attributes, is geava, is pride. If your pride is being touched, then it will birth anger and sadness. And who Hashem Rachem already will do. So gasut ruach and geava will bring a plague to the world. I hope you're paying attention. Number 6, gezel. Gezel, the translation for gezel is robbery. But really gezel is a type of theft that the difference is it's called daylight robbery. Theft is when I come at night when you're sleeping, I sneak into your house and I steal something and you don't know. Gezel is straight out in the open. And I've been talking about gezel for the last, I don't know how long, that most people fail in gezel. In little things even. Very little things they fail in gezel. I gave you once an example, maybe you were present in that class. This lady was asking, they went once on a road trip, whatever, they stopped in a 7-Eleven to buy some drinks, and they took in the corner where they have those hot dogs that are on the grill there for 4 days, they took from there some ketchup bags, because they were going on a road trip, and made a barbecue. How much is a bag of this ketchup cost? 3 cents? So she took, I don't know, 5, 10, 20. Told her, that's gezel. You owe that place right now 90 cents. You will come in an incarnation again to pay that 90 cents. How many times people just take things, they think it belongs to them. The severity of gezel is so bad that I can't even explain how severity the gezel is. Now, I'm not talking right now, I want to touch something else, because gezel can be with property, with money. I can go now, you see here, there's a place where you have the coffee, the tea, and everything. You're allowed, you come here for a class to make yourself a cup of tea. You know that sometimes people come and they just take 20 tea bags. Well, who told you can take these 20 tea bags home? The tea bags are here for the people who attend the classes, not for you to refill your quarantine quota. And if you want to take 20 bags, then come and ask me, can I take 20 bags? I'm running low. If I tell you it's okay, take 200 bags. But if I don't tell you that you can take, this is gezel. People go to a hotel, they clean out the towels, the shampoos, this is gezel, unless you were explicitly said you can take it. But there's much worse gezel than what's called mammon, money. There's gezel, it's called in dibur, that I can steal, you have an idea, and I steal your idea. Didn't Mike Zuckerberg had to pay a few $1 billion or $1 million, whatever it is, to somebody who claimed that he had the idea, whatever it is? So you can take gezel with words. Worse than that, you can do gezel on peace. But worst of all is gezel in honor and respect. I don't like that rabbi, he gets a lot of honor. I'm going to now go and badmouth him so I can get the honor and the respect. And I'll give you a live example that I went not too long ago to some community. The rabbi was not happy that I came there because one of the members of the community invited me to come there. And when everybody was RSVPing for the lecture, the person says, I'm not going to be able to put everybody in my living room. So he went to the rabbi of the community and says, I'm bringing in a speaker. Can we host it in your shul? So the person who invited me is a big donor for the shul, so the rabbi, of course, didn't say no. And about 300 people showed up to that lecture. The rabbi is there for 40 years, and he barely gets a minyan. You think he likes me? That I get all the attention, and people are raving, ooh, ah. So what did he do? He goes and tells people all sorts of lies about me. This is gezel in respect. You want to get all the honor and the respect, so you're going and bad-mouthing somebody else that he's this and he's that, so people will not respect him and respect you? Come on, this is a very unique type of a lowlife. So this is gezel bekavod. Next. The next and the last one, and that's the severest of all, it's called tsarut ayn. The translation for tsarut ayn is envy, jealousy. But in Hebrew, tsar ayn is when I'm not happy for somebody else. which is a type of envy or jealousy. That's the worst of all. That's what our sages explain. Kin'ah, the jealousy. Ugh. Our sages say that the kin'ah will take, this is, it says in Tractate Avot, the kavod, the te'ava, והקנאה מוציאים את האדם מהעולם. The jealousy will, a person lose their place in this world. Shlomo HaMelech says, רקב העצמות קנאה. The jealousy will cause your bones to rot. People do unbelievable actions because of jealousy. How come he has so much and I don't? How come he's more popular? How come he has an attractive wife? How come how come? The jealousy causes people to rot from inside. Shem Yerachem. Now again, I like looking in the words in between. Tzarut Ain, if you're looking at the letters, you know what word you can derive out of these two words? Tzarut Ain. Tsar, At. You have the Tzadik, the Reish, the Ain, and the Taf of Tzarut Ain. You know which word you get? Tzarat, leprosy. Person is tsar ain, jealousy, envy, then he brings this tzarat. Unbelievable. Now I will explain later. I kept telling you before about the Gematria of Nachash, 358. Then the Nachash that I'm talking about is the Samech Mem, is the Satan, the devil. Now when you write the word Nachash in Hebrew, it's Nun Chet Shin. And when you write the word Satan, devil, in Hebrew is sin, like a shin, tet and nun. So they have two letters in common, shin and nun. But then the other two letters that are not in common is chet and tet. But interestingly, chet and tet, they come one after the other. Chet and tet put together the word in Hebrew, chet, a sin. And why am I saying that? If a person comes to a place of sinning, has to be an involvement of the Satan here in the Nachash. What's interesting here is when you take the two letters chet and tet, their numerical value, 9 and 8, brings you to a numerical value of 17, which is tov, which I will explain that much later. I just want to bring that as a side note, and I'll remind you, you don't have to remind me. But let me just quickly recap what our dear sage Rabbi Yochanan says, what brings a plague to the world. Lashon hara, we have an abundance of that. Shfichut damim, bloodshed, abundance of that too. Shvuat shav, lying, we have a lot of that too. Gilui arayot, incest, we have an abundance of that also. Gasut ruach, rudeness, gezel, robbery, tzarut ain, envy, all of that we have. And like I said before, this is not only for the Jewish community, it's everyone. From the last video that I made in Purim, a lot of people who are not Jewish saying, what is that got to do with me? I'm not Jewish, what do I do? This is for you too, my non-Jewish friend. There's no difference between a Jew and a non-Jew when it comes to lying and cheating and slander and envy and all that horrible behavior. So this is what Rabbi Yochanan says in the Talmud, what brings a plague to the world. And in case you didn't notice, we have a plague in the world. Now, I said that the last one, which is the worst of all, is the envy, the tzarut ain. I can tell you now 50 hours of horror stories of how I experience on my own flesh and blood the reaction and actions as a result of envy, and what disaster and destruction and disharmony envy and jealousy brought. How amazing things that would flourish to be an unbelievable were destroyed and stepped on only because of jealousy. The famous Rabbi Israel from Salan says that jealousy is one of the worst character traits there is, but jealousy is the root of all ain hara, all the evil eye. And he quotes the Rambam, Maimonides, who says in the book of Ilchot Tshuva, the laws of Tshuva, that when a person does Tshuva, we all need to do Tshuva now. People tell me, what should I do? I tell them, do Tshuva. I don't know what to do. So do Tshuva, but I don't know what to do. So people think, okay, if I stole something, I'll give it back. Very good. And if I mess some situation, then okay. But the Rambam says that a higher level of Tshuva is not for actions. It's for things that are within me. I have to do Tshuva for anger. How many times did you lose your anger on somebody that didn't deserve you being angry at them. You have to do tshuva for that. And he's quoting the Rambam and saying a person has to do tshuva for jealousy. What are you going to do? You're going to go to the person who says, I'm sorry I was jealous of you because you're more successful than me. Yeah, you have to do tshuva for jealousy. Not for an action that I stole, or I ate meat and dairy, or I didn't put tefillin on, or whatever it is. Rambam says in Ilchot Tshuva, yeah, you have to do tshuva for stuff like anger, character traits, and mainly jealousy. Now, let's continue. I will round everything up together in type of a conclusion. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be able to squeeze much more into that. I don't want it to be too long. Anyways, we got to pray Minchas on. Nevertheless, let's go back to the Talmud. Tractate Sanhedrin, page Tzadik Chet Amud Bet, 98b. There's a discussion about the coming of Mashiach. I highly recommend to anybody who reads Aramaic, and if not, find some type of a translation, to learn Tractate Sanhedrin from the pages of 93 and on to maybe 106 or 7. Has a lot of information about Mashiach, the coming of Mashiach, the war, etc. In page 98, there's a discussion between the rabbis. What is going to be the name of Mashiach? Oh. So, there's a few versions. One sage, called as Rebbe, said his name is going to be Shiloh. And I'm not going to now go into all the argument. You can go to the reference I told you and read their explanation, why everybody thinks. But nevertheless, Rebbe says, I think his name is going to be Shiloh. Ad ki yavo Shiloh. He's quoting a verse from the Torah. Next one, Rabbi Chanina, says his name is going to be either Chanina or Menachem. One of the two. Another rabbi, his name is Yanai, Rabbi Yanai, says no, his name is going to be Inon. Okay. And our sages, which he doesn't says who, he says his name is going to be Chivra. Chivra means a person that has leprosy, Metzorah. That's going to be the name of Mashiach? Chivra? A person who has leprosy? What's very, very interestingly here, this I'm just putting as a side note, and I highly recommend go to the reference and read the page in the Talmud. Right after this argument, they're bringing a parable to kind of shed some light on their argument. And what animal is used in the parable? A bat. I just found it very hilarious that people, I don't know, they say it came from the bat, came from the mat, came from the rat, came from the snake, I don't know what, but I just found it very hilarious that it came, that the parable that they're using there is a bat. And why they're using a bat? Because the bat can't see, and he doesn't see even when there's light in front of him, he can't see, whatever. Go see what it says there. I just found it very hilarious that it's talking about a bat. But nevertheless, why am I quoting this Gemara? Because it says that Mashiach is Metzorah, full of leprosy, and he's sitting in the entrance of Romi. I'm not going to now explain what it means really with Romi. A lot of people think Romi, it's talking about Rome. It doesn't talk about Rome. When the Talmud is talking about Romi, it has nothing to do with the city of Rome, and it has nothing to do with the Vatican. It has to do with something completely else. Now is not the time to explain about that. If you want, go and look it up. But nevertheless, it says Mashiach is sitting in the entrance of Romi, and he's a Yoshev Metzorah with leprosy. Now, why am I saying that? Because when a person, I told you before, has the worst of all the character traits of envy, how did it call it? Tzarut ayn, when the eye is like narrow. You don't know how to see nice and have respect for other people and be happy for other people. How many times people said, I couldn't never understand when people say that, I'm so happy for you. Good for you. And you see that behind his face is like, I don't want to even say what's behind the face. Good for you. It's called tzarut ayn, that the eyes, tzar means very narrow. I said before that Rabbi Israel from Salan said that the envy is the source of ayn hara. Ayn hara, the numerical value of ayn ra in Hebrew, ayn ra, evil eye, jealousy, is the numerical value of 400, which is very, very interesting because we know that there are 400 powers of impurity. How do we know that there's 400 powers of impurity, what is called kochot tum'ah? Because when Yaakov went out of Haran, Esav comes to him, and how many soldiers is he coming with? With 400 men. So we know from that, I'm not going to get into too many details, that there are 400 powers of impurity. We know that very soon when Mashiach is going to come, there's going to be a prophet that will come to announce his arrival. That's Eliyahu Navi. Nothing is by chance. When we make Avdalah every Motzei Shabbat, what do we say? Eliyahu Navi, Zachur Latov. Put the 4 words of Eliyahu Hanavi, Zachur Latov, 400, the numerical value. Why is Eliyahu Navi getting the honor? You know what it means to announce Mashiach is coming? How come he's getting that? Because we are in the exile that is called Galut Edom, the exile of Edom, which Edom is Klipat Esav. Eliyahu Navi, Zachur Latov, Gimatria 400, is coming to crush the 400 powers of impurity of Esav. Now here again, what are we talking about this whole time? I told you that with the Talmud, Sanhedrin Tzadik Chet, the name of the Mashiach is Metzorah. How do you write Metzorah? Mem, Tzadik, Reish, Ayin. And what is the numerical value of Metzorah? 400. Altogether. So now to kind of make a little bit of order of what I'm saying here, when we have text, we also always have to go back to prophecies, because the prophecies are clearing things up. There is a prophecy by the prophet that is called Malachi. And there's a big question in the Talmud. Who is this prophet? Who is the prophet Malachi? First of all, he's the last prophet that we had. In the book that is called Trei Asar, from the Ketubim, he's the last of all the prophets. And when he died on 10th of Tevet. If that date rings a bell, that's when we fast on the Tzom, the fast of Asara B'Tevet. We fast because of the beginning of the siege of Yerushalayim, but nevertheless, when he died, with him prophecy died. So nevertheless, there is an argument in the Talmud, who is he? Okay, so Rabbi Nachman, and not Rabbi Nachman from Breslev, Rabbi Nachman from the Talmud says this is Mordechai. Mordechai from the story of Purim. That's the prophet Malachi. Rabbi Yeshua says, no, it's not. It's Ezra Sofer, that after the time of the story of Purim, when they went back to Eretz Israel, there was a leader called Ezra. Anyways, so Rabbi Yeshua says it's Ezra Sofer, and our sages say, no, he's a prophet and his name is Malachi. Nevertheless, I highly recommend you go and read the book of Malachi. It's only 3 chapters. It will take you 10 minutes to read it. Read what he says there. There are 2 major things that he's talking about. The first one, he's talking about mixed marriages. Sounds pretty familiar. In our generation, you know how much Jews are assimilated? People said that the German Imach Shimo killed 6 million souls. You know how many souls the mixed marriages killed? They say just in America, probably 70, 80 million people were killed because of mixed marriages. Very interestingly, that's what he's talking about. But mainly what he's talking about is the redemption, the time of the redemption, the coming of Mashiach. Everything about the coming of Mashiach. So look how it's very interesting that he's talking about mixed marriages and the coming of Mashiach. Well, just a thought. Nevertheless, the most important part of his prophecy is that the announcement of the redemption, of the Geulah. Now he warns us there from Judgment Day. And I highly recommend go and read the book of Malachi. It's only 3 chapters. He's warning us from Judgment Day. And what does he tell us to do? To do tshuva. And he says, V'hashavim yinatzelu. The one who will do tshuva will be saved. Now, that's a pretty bold statement. Now go and explain what does it mean to do tshuva. That we'll have to do another time. We read twice in the year the haftarah of this book of Malachi. One of them in Parashat Toldot, and the other one we're going to read next week in Shabbat HaGadol, the Shabbat before Pesach. It's called Shabbat HaGadol. On Shabbat HaGadol we read the haftarah of Malachi. Nevertheless, he's coming, the prophecy is to prepare for the redemption. He's warning us from Judgment Day, and he says only the ones who will do tshuva will be saved. And he says something very interesting. He says in his prophecy, "Veheshiv lev avot al banim, velev banim al avotam." Translation, that he may turn the hearts of the fathers back through the children, and the hearts of the children back through the fathers. I'm sure you heard this prophecy, "V'yeshiv lev banim al avot velev banim al avotam." Okay, people interpret it that the kids, in our generation, we see many of the kids, they become observant, so now they make their parents become observant. Okay. Now he ends, I get goosebumps every time that I read it. I can't share with you now my goosebumps, but I have goosebumps because you know how he ends the prophecy? And that's how the last book of all prophecies ends. Pen avo vehiketi et haaretz cherem. If you're not going to do tshuva, least I come and smite the earth with utter destruction. Lest I come. That's pretty scary to me. You're not going to do tshuva, I'm going to come to the land and destroy it. And people are saying, relax, don't worry, everything will be fine. I don't know what you're talking about. Now I'll tell you what I see from that, because the word cherem is destruction, but I see it in a completely different way. Cherem in Hebrew, you know what it is? It's boycott. Cherem in Hebrew is a ban. Not a band that you play, a ban. They put a person in cherem, nobody talks to him. It's called embargo. Aren't we all in some type of a ban right now? We're in cherem, we're in a bidud, in isolation. So Hashem says, I'm going to come and do utter destruction. But read the words in Hebrew, don't read it in English. Pen avo vehiketi et haaretz. If you're not going to listen, I'm going to come and strike the land. Cherem. Now I'll tell you something more interesting here, because the letters cherem is the numerical value of 248. So we know we have 248 positive mitzvot. But the letters of cherem is chet mem reish. Do you know which word is that? Chomer. Materialism. The Kadosh Baruch Hu now is destroying the materialism in the world. Nobody's going to have money now. Nobody's going to have status. I'm going to crush everything. And you see it with your own eyes. There's not one country in this world that is not falling apart. Kadosh Baruch Hu is now going to destroy all the physicality. Why? So we're going to all be empty-handed. What did I quote before about the Al-Sheikh? If you're poor, then you're not jealous, because everybody's poor like you. Now, you know what's interesting here? That the numerical value of cherem, 248, I had to find a word that will put us at ease. Everybody's calling me and telling me, I'm panicking. You know what's the numerical value of the word panika? 248. Everybody bepanika. Everybody's panicking. 248. Nothing is by chance, by the way. Now I'll tell you what's even more scary. What do we scream when Mashiach is going to come and we're going to see Hashem? What do we scream? Adonai hu Elohim. Adonai hu Elohim. Numerical value of 248. Yud Kei Vav Kei hu Elohim times 2 is 248. En od milvado. There's nothing else but the Kadosh Baruch Hu. The Kadosh Baruch Hu is crumbling the existence of this planet, that we will be down on our knees to understand that Hashem hu Elokim. There's nothing else. No governments, no health systems, no hospitals, no viruses, no nothing. אין לנו על מי לסמוך אלא על אבינו שבשמיים. We have nobody to count on, only the power of our Father in heaven. But we have to do tshuva. If we don't do tshuva, פן אבוא והכיתי את הארץ חרב. You're not going to do tshuva. I'm going to come with utter destruction. And some people have the nerve to say, don't worry, everything will be okay. Where do you come up with that chutzpah? To give false hope to people, everything will be okay. It will not be okay. Unless we do tshuva, of course. So people are telling me, please, Rabbi, give me some chizuk. Chizuk? Chizuk means strengthen me. You know how many messages I get per day? Can you send us a message of chizuk? What do you want me to be? One of these rabbis who's saying, it's okay, don't worry, we'll be fine. No, it's not going to be fine unless you're going to move your tuchas and do tshuva. You want to see the history? Look at our history. Adam and Chava did not listen to the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Right? They failed. Avodah Zarah, with idolatry, they listened to the serpent, not to Hashem. They failed in Gilui Arayot. Adam HaRishon went and was mating with everything that moved. And needless to say, Shpichut Damim, they brought death to the world. What was their result? Out. Out! A punishment. Get out of here. The next one who sinned in the history, Cain, killed his brother. Bloodshed. Ot Kalon. Get out of here. You're going to be marked now for generations. The next, the generation of Noach. They had Gezel, robbery, and Zima. Exactly what we have in our generation. You know what Zima is? I don't know if I'm going to read it even. I'm very upset. I don't know if I'm going to read it well. Zima is lewdness. Zima is Lewdness. Lewdness.
Yes.
I don't need to explain much. Go to and figure it out. The other one is lecherousness. I will write it down to you later. What?
Lecherous.
This is zima. It's this filthy desire for disgusting lust, for exactly what's going on in our generation. This disgusting lust for everything. And Gezer. What did Hashem do? Destroy the entire world with a flood. Next, there was another generation, the Dora Aflaga. They didn't have Avodah Zarah. They went against the Kadosh Baruch Hu, building a tower. We're going to go against the Kadosh Baruch Hu. You know what besides idolatry, they had chutzpah. This is called ge'ava, pride, azut ruach, this rudeness. Kadosh Baruch Hu smacked them down and confused everybody, and all the languages came down to the world. Then we have Sdom. Oh, there was Las Vegas there. Gilui Arayot. All they did there is just forbidden relations. Mishkav Zachar. Gay parades all day long. Fire from the sky, Hashem destroyed them. Avraham Avinu was trying to somehow minimize it. The Kadosh Baruch Hu destroyed Sdom. Now you need me to continue what's going on in history? And then you're listening to people who says, don't worry, we'll be okay? So let's go a few thousand years forward. Look what happened in the first temple. Gilui Arayot, Avodah Zarah, Shpichut Damim. Forbidden relations, idolatry, and bloodshed. Kadosh Baruch Hu destroyed the entire Bet HaMikdash and exiled us. The second Bet HaMikdash, do I need to repeat after I said it so many times, was destroyed from Sinat Chinam, baselet hatred. And you know what our sages say in the Talmud? Sinat Chinam is nothing but Lashon Hara. And people think that everything will be fine. I can't lie to you and tell you, don't worry, everything will be fine. We're gonna survive together. Come on. People have been sinning horrible sins for the last 20, 30, 40 years, and that's it, a week in quarantine, and you think it's done? We have reached up to here to the Kadosh Baruch Hu with all the sins that I just explained. And you think that just 1 or 2 weeks in quarantine and that's it, Hashem forgives us? Because some people are posting, sharing some stuff on Facebook. Let's all... Come on. I can't stand this hypocrisy. Suddenly, after 20 years, of you slandering and lying all day long. Suddenly, you're afraid of a little virus and suddenly you love everybody? What kind of a hypocrite are you? You think Hashem forgot what you did in the last 50 years? People don't get it. People don't get it. And Hashem is putting now the writing on the wall. You better do tshuva or I'm going to come and destroy you. The same way that he destroyed the second temple, the first temple, Sodom, the flood with Noah, and many other times. What do you think? Who do you think we're dealing with? Think Hashem has patience to this nonsense? He's been tolerating this nonsense for 1950 years. I'm not going to have time now. It's way too late. 4.5 months ago, when I was in the hospital, I had another near-death experience. I'm going to have to keep it to the next video to tell you what I saw. I can tell you already, Hashem had it up to here. Up to here. We are lucky that the plague came and we weren't annihilated by some asteroid that will destroy the entire earth or some nuclear war. That Hashem has some type of mercy and He says, I'm going to warn you. I'll give you another few months to do tshuva instead of annihilating us. I can tell you, you don't have to listen to me. I recommend you will. But I'm telling you, don't listen to anybody else that is sugarcoating it and making it sound nice. Hashem had it up to here. And He says, only the ones who are going to do tshuva, they'll survive. What does He say? Only the ones who do tshuva will survive. If we are not going to change our behavior right now, we're in big trouble. If we're not going to change everything in our nature right now, we're going to be in big trouble. What we're seeing right now is nothing. Nothing. And what you're seeing now is nothing because they're not showing you the thousands of people who are dying in Italy every day, the thousands of people who are dying in the UK every day. They're not showing you that. Here and there, some videos go up on the internet. A friend of mine sent me yesterday a video from London. They took a kilometer-long hall to build 4,000 beds and 2 morgues. What we're seeing now is nothing. This is the beginning if we don't get our act together. Now, no question that we can get our act together and really do tshuva. Really do tshuva. In 1 second, it will disappear. But that means really, really doing tshuva. Now, unfortunately, it's way longer than what I thought. We're going to have to take it to another class. Tomorrow's Friday. We're not going to have time. We'll have to do it Sunday. That on Sunday, I'll share with you just a little bit of a taste of my personal message, that what I said now is nothing compared to that. And then the total conclusion, what I think that is our only option. And then we're going to start through the media tshuva boot camp to teach the entire world how to do serious tshuva, and the lucky ones will listen, will follow, will apply, and will survive. And I'm telling you, when I'm saying you, I'm not only talking to you, to everybody. We are in a point that if we don't change completely, we will see a destruction and a disaster that nobody has seen for the last 5,780 years. And this is not a joke. This is not something to ignore. This is not something to say, oh, it will pass. And even if somehow, miraculously, Hashem will have a moment of mercy, and this thing will pass, and we will still not do tshuva, oy va'avoy, what will be the next way that we're going to get. And I told you my personal opinion is that we're not getting up from this disaster. From this disaster is to Mashiach. And we can do it nice, and if not, I'm already preparing you that what you're seeing now is nothing. So to recap now, just that you have some type of food of thought for the next 2 days till we'll go to the next class, is rewind the video and watch it now 3 times and listen to every word that I said carefully, write it down, start internalizing, and you want to recognize within yourself if you're guilty in one of these 7 actions that Rabbi Yochanan says that brings a plague to the world, and I guarantee to you that you, including me, are guilty in all 7. At some way or another. There's no point now to be hey, look how observant I am. I have a long beard. We're all guilty in all 7 actions. Now, you start doing tshuva for all these 7 actions. Because Hashem says, I was patient, and patient, and patient, and patient, and that's it. I'm not patient anymore. What didn't you get here? For the last 20, 30, 40 years, people are eating each other. Shem Yerachem, what I see with my own eyes, how people slander, lie, cheat, take, destroy. And that's it. A little virus puts you in a room and suddenly we're all good friends. And the nonsense that I see that's going on the internet makes me sick. 30 years, all you do is just slander the entire world, and suddenly, let's all be together. And you think Hashem is buying that? Hashem is not buying that nonsense. Hashem is demanding you better do serious tshuva. You are locked down in a room. You pray 3 times a day, crying to the Kadosh Baruch Hu to save you. You're not missing one mitzvah. You're taking them all. And you listen to every word that I said now. I have enough food of thought for you to digest the next 48 hours till we meet again on Sunday, and I'll give you the next part. Which is not less soothing than this, by the way. It's even worse because what I saw was terrifying, was frightening. I'll give you a little in. I was supposed to die. And you know what they told me in Shamayim? We don't want you to see what's going to happen in a few months. You leaving the world. And I was crying in Shamayim. What about my wife? What about my kids? What about the thousands of my friends, followers, students, and family that are trying really, really hard to do tshuva? So because I have a merit and a half and you're taking me out that I should not see it? I didn't see anything nice up there. I'm telling you that the Kadosh Baruch Hu, we crossed all lines with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. 0 tolerance. 0 patience. Hashem is not buying the show. Hashem is looking in the heart. What was the prophecies that I ended with Malachi? Ve'eshiv lev banim al avotam. Lev is the heart. The tshuva is only in the heart. The Kadosh Baruch Hu sees through walls. You can't fool the Kadosh Baruch Hu with some posts on Facebook. Let's all be together. Let's read some Tehillim together. You're fooling the Hashem. Hashem sees straight into your heart. And you know that the tshuva for Lashon Hara, first of all, the Zohar says there's no tshuva for Lashon Hara. First of all. But not to put you on the spot, there is ways to do tshuva for Lashon Hara. But it's almost impossible to do tshuva for Lashon Hara. I have to tell you a story quickly before we end. At the time of the Tanakh, there was a wicked king. His name was Achav. One of the most wicked kings that made thousands of people sin. At the time of Achav, he went out to a lot of wars. You know what? They won all the wars. How does a wicked king win wars? You know what it says? Shechina olechet itam. The Shechina used to go with them. And you know what our sages explain? Because they didn't talk Lashon Hara. Wicked people. But they didn't talk Lashon Hara. The Shekhinah was with them. So we have nice yarmulkes and minyanim, and we learn Torah, and we do a lot of charity, and a lot of good things. But we talk Lashon Hara all day long. All worthless. We're giving all the power to the Sitra Achra. We have no protection from the Kadosh Baruch Hu. It says, En ra nechaz ela b'makom chisaron. The evil, the ra, can only hold when there's a deficiency. When I don't like you. for some reason, because you have more money than me, or you're more successful, or you have more views on your YouTube channel than me, and all sorts of nonsense. That's where the evil gets stuck, on this hate, the jealousy. You know, I told you before, we got to really finish. Got to pray mincha real quick. The real tikkun of Lashon Hara is only in the heart. It's a deep, deep tshuva that we have to do. Like the Prophet says, Ve'eshiv levavot al banim, ve'lev banim al avotam. Only in the heart, the lev, the heart, it's inside. You can't fool the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Pitom, suddenly you pretend you're so holy. Kadosh Baruch Hu says, listen, I have records for the last 40 years. Who are you fooling? What, do you think I didn't see what you did for the last 40 years? But the real tikkun is all in the thought, not to talk Lashon Hara. So a lot of people will say now, okay, you convinced me, I'm not going to talk Lashon Hara anymore. You're right. First of all, this is also Lashon Hara. But somebody asked me the other day, because I told this person, do tshuva. He told me, I'm afraid. I don't know. I told him, do tshuva. He's like, I don't know how to do tshuva. What do I need to do? Somehow I got to Lashon Hara. So he says, okay, I'm not going to talk Lashon Hara anymore. And then he asked me the $1 million question. Is thinking Lashon Hara bad? Yeah. To do the tikkun for Lashon Hara is not to think what you want to say on that person. That's a very hard part of the tshuva. Not to say, big deal, so you zipped your mouth. Hashem put us in quarantine, so you're going to talk to the wall. Well, of course, you have WhatsApp and Facebook and all the rest of the media that you can talk to each other. But Hashem is hinting to us, zip it. I told you that a month ago in Purim. Sorry, 2 weeks ago. Zip it. Do a Tanit Dibur till Mashiach comes. But I told this person, yeah, Lashon Hara also, if you think it, you have to change the way you are thinking. So the time is up. I'm going to wish you an unbelievable month, Chodesh Tov. We should see miracles. This is the month of miracles. Our sages say, "Benisan nigalu, benisan atidim ligael." In the month of Nisan, they were redeemed. In the month of Nisan, they are future to be redeemed. This is a very powerful month to do tshuva. It's the most auspicious time to do tshuva. More than Elul, Rosh Chodesh Nisan is the time. What did we read today in Musaf? Zman kaparatchem. We can flip everything over. We have 14 days till Pesach. You have to be now on not your best behavior, your super duper extra best behavior. And when Pesach comes, if we're still somehow on this planet, you're going to make it the best Pesach you ever did. And we're going to beg to the Kadosh Baruch Hu, beg to forgive us and to redeem us. And everything in the book you're going to do now. We're going to cut now. Sunday we'll do the next part of the lecture, and then we're starting a tshuva boot camp. And if you're smart, you're going to follow every step that you need to do. You're not working now. You're not going out to restaurants and movies. You sit at home and you do tshuva. And you beg the Kadosh Baruch Hu to have some type of mercy on you. Don't listen to all these liars. Don't believe to people telling you, everything will be okay. It will pass. Let's just join together. No. Be very worried. Be very upset. Be very scared. If you don't observe Shabbat, be trembling from fear. If you still sin in promiscuity, or however you say it, with zima, be extremely afraid. If you're still lying and cheating and slandering, be trembling from fear. Who dares to tell you not to be afraid? You should be looking at your actions now with a magnifying glass. And if you do real tshuva, Hashem will accept it. But it's not a fake tshuva. Ve'eshiv levadim al banot, al avot. The heart. The Kadosh Baruch Hu wants to see the heart. I'm not buying now the actions. Let's see the real deal. So there's a lot what we need to do in the month of Nisan. Pray, learn Torah, read Tehillim. We're going to make a whole list of everything that we need to do. Whatever you need to read, whatever you need to exercise. And Bezat Hashem, Hashem should forgive us. Hashem should have mercy on us. Hashem should have mercy on all the sick people and heal them. Hashem should have mercy on the entire planet. And send us Mashiach b'chesed v'rachamim, with mercy, with kindness. But as you know, the talk is cheap. We've been talking about, and I can bless you now from here till tomorrow. Hashem wants actions now. He's not buying all the nonsense. I am going to pray and bless that we should be forgiven and we should see the coming of Mashiach in the most smoothest way, but I don't want to fool you or myself. Now it's only actions. Serious actions. And I can guarantee that if you do the real tshuva, you will be saved. David HaMelech says, "Yipol b'tzidcha elef u'rvava miyaminecha." 1,000 will fall from one side, 10,000 from the other side. Elecha lo yigash. There's nothing going to come to you. Gam ki elech begetzel hamavet lo yirara. Ki ata imadi. Even if I walk in the valley of the shadow of death, I will not be afraid because you're with me. But you have to check yourself real good if you are 100% with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. The famous verse says, "Shuva alai v'ashuva elechem." Come to me, make tshuva, I will come to you. Hashem now says, I gave you a lot of chances. Now let's see how real clean you are. A lot of people said, I hope I will survive. Well, you better do serious tshuva here. For every little thought, every word, every intention, every act that you did, you now have the time to sit in quarantine, and instead of going on Facebook for 8 hours and watching junk on Netflix, you sit on your tuchis and you do serious tshuva. And the ones who are going to do serious tshuva will be saved. And Be'ezrat Hashem, with the merit of all our actions and prayers and Torah and good deeds, then we should sweeten the judgments and have Hashem redeem us b'chesed u'rachamim. And Be'ezrat Hashem, we should only see it in a positive way. And I hope and bless everybody to participate. And I ask you, we're going to have another part of the lecture. Please, share the video. Show it to as many people. I know a lot of people don't know, are going to give a thumbs down and not like me. I don't care if you like me or not. If I can save another soul or another person, that's what it is. So if you share the video as much as you can on all the social media, WhatsApp, Shmotsap, I don't care if you send it with a pigeon. Just share it that people can see it. And maybe something will penetrate in their mind. And ignore the people who are telling them, don't worry, everything will be okay. No, it's not. This is the end of the line. I am telling you, this is the end of the line. I don't know how much more chances Hashem is going to give us. We ran out of all the merits that the Kadosh Baruch Hu, and now we're losing merits. Why? Because all the governments are shutting all the yeshivot and the synagogues down. Now we don't have prayer, we don't have Torah, we're losing everything. At least at the time of Haman, when Haman wanted to destroy us, Mordechai got everybody to get together. Now the Malchut HaRish'ah, the Erev Rav, is separating. Don't go to shul, don't go to yeshivot. Doesn't matter right now. The point is that we're losing power. We're losing power. So we have to do whatever we can. And if you can't pray in a minyan, then at least you pray 3 times a day, every word, you focus on the words. You have no rush, you don't have to go anywhere. So pray like you should pray. And up until now, you only learned half an hour Torah. Then today you learn 5 hours Torah. And you can learn on the Zoom or Shmum or whatever it is. Doesn't matter. Learn. Do things. Now we lost the opportunity of doing a lot of mitzvot. You can't do achnasat orchim anymore. You can't do a lot of mitzvot now. That's it. We lost a lot of the options of mitzvot. Hashem should save us and have a lot of mercy on us. And Be'ezrat Hashem, that we should see the redemption coming. I know it's not easy, but I was saying that the ultimate tikkun is b'machshava, in the thought. This is the ultimate rectification, is in the thought. B'machshava, in the thought, is the same letters of besimcha. Can't be now sad and depressed and sit. You have to be, I know it's not easy, but besimcha. Why? Because the ultimate joy and happiness, besimcha, same letters of b'machshava in the thought, that's what does the tikkun. I know it's not such a jolly time, but you keep your spirits high. Because the days of Mashiach is coming are very few. Finally, after 3,400 years, we're waiting for the Mashiach to come. Finally, we're going to see it. Be'ezrat Hashem, we should all see it coming b'chesed u'rachamim. Have a chodesh tov.